I'll let you take it away.
Let's get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
Guys, where are we?
Well, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that it's farthest from.
Welcome to the Outer Rim. Enjoy your stay.
That is awesome, Rob. Oh, nicely done. Nicely done.
Yeah, I was using that. I didn't have it for the first episodes because I was just kind of like, screw it, we're doing Severance, right? And then it just was like, I'm having too much fun. I want to make these as much fun to make as I am talking about it, which is such a great way to be. I wanted to be, I don't know. This is if I'm back, you know what I mean? This is the John Wick moment. People keep asking if I'm back.
It's looking like you're back.
Yeah, it's looking like I'm back. So I'm trying really hard to, even though I still feel like I'm on the ass end of like learning everything, like I'm doing things slower than everybody else. But I mean, we work 40-hour jobs. I mean, the fact that I can get any of this done with the time that I have is, it's sheer will to do it now, right? I just make myself. But anyway, yeah, that's the intro that's on a lot of the other videos, but it keeps expanding and I keep thinking of new ways to change it because the dancing stuff wasn't in the original. I just keep adding more and more things to the videos. So when you watch the actual reviews that I did, you'll see all kinds of shit in those videos.
No, I'm glad you're having fun. And of course, Severance here, perfect way to kind of get a little premiere there. I thought the dancing was perfect. And sorry, everyone, that's the first I saw of that. So I am just super impressed and I feel like I'm in a real professional production here now, Rob. So I'm really excited I'm excited to get to talk to Severance for you because as people may not have known, I live in Altadena, California, which has just suffered a horrific fire here, also with the Palisades. My place is fine, thankfully, but we were evacuated for over a week, and we're still kind of putting this whole production together with duct tape and rubber bands. So really, hearts out to everyone who has been suffering in these California fires. Fire plus hurricane force winds, there's really not much that you can do. But thankfully, the communities really come together and, we're going to try and rebuild here as best we can.
Yeah, that stuff was what I allowed myself to watch because you're there. I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole of paranoia and watch a lot. But what I did see, that's when I texted that you're in a Roland Emmerich movie right now. Because what I saw scared the shit out of me. And I don't get scared, but because I have somebody out there, I'm like, oh. So it
makes it more real, and that's the great thing about the internet and these types of communications is we can kind of connect and see and be more part and more real. But on the other hand, this is in many ways just the beginning. No matter where you are, things are getting worse, whether you're in the east dealing with the hurricanes, the north dealing with this polar vortex dropping down. We get fires out here in the west. It's only going to get bigger and harsher. So we all got to pull together to get through it and realize we are together and not separate.
Yeah. Definitely.
Except for these four stuck inside their little office world.
Yeah. So hello, everybody. Basically, we're playing catch up because everything's been going down, and now we're actually getting to talk about Severance. I just, as everybody knows, has been watching, and I want to thank everybody that has been watching. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And yeah, with these live streams with my friend, we're on camera. So for a change, this is what's going to happen. Unfortunately for y'all, you have to now see my face and my voice. But since everybody already knows that I love this show and I'm super excited about this show, I wanted to give Darrin the chance up front to talk about what he thinks of this show, Severance, and what he thought of season 1, because he just finished his rewatch. So, Darrin, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what you think?
Yeah, this was one of those shows that, kind of took me a while to go. We had gotten Apple, and you're seeing all these weird kind of interesting shows, and some of them just aren't hitting, and some of them are really interesting. So I think that was something that Apple made a strong move towards with their initial programming, was let's try and do something bigger than everybody else, and we're Apple, so we have the money to do it. And I love old Ben Stiller before he got into his repetitive kind of, self-depreciating comedy sort of binge. What was it? Zero Effect, or with Bill Pullman, was stunning. And I thought that he was amazing and a very real character. And I really felt all of this stuff. And I saw a couple other things and they were good. And then he got caught into this bit. So I'm seeing this Apple show led by Ben Stiller. What are you going to get? Perfection is what you get. Amazingly, it is such an incredible look into our corporate world, our workspace, our separation of life and personality, that subjugation that you get while working. I mean, the idea that your existence now is to perpetually work. You never sleep. You never really go have dinner. You don't have relationships. You don't do anything. All of your existence is strictly to work, and putting it in this labyrinth of corridors that are shifting and moving. And are they, or is it just a giant space with piecemeals? Do half those doors even open or go anywhere? It plays such those perfect viewpoints and feels of what it's like to be subjugated to a giant unknown corporate entity. And that is just the basic layer. Besides, you have the stuff of why would people do this, and the whole idea of loss, and how can that be manipulated, and how do you try to overcome that, is even more interesting. Plus the fact that nobody even knows what this company does. People on the outside are trying to figure out what Kier does. People on the inside are decoding some weird code type of thing. You would think that this would be like the perfect way to separate, and they could have all the secrets because there was no way that they'd ever be able to go it. But it's like, no, that's just the beginning of the layering of stuff. So the social commentary that it's making, the economic commentary that it's making, the workplace commentary that it's making, plus how we all deal with trauma and loss and relationship. And Irving and Bert are the cutest goddamn couple in the world, and I want them to get together. That's all I want out of this show, okay? Christopher Walken is just... And
yeah,
anyway,
man, Christopher's getting old.
Like
we need them to get together.
And I love the whole idea that Irving's drippings of blackness as he's going in and out is why, because his real self is up all night obsessively painting these corridors. And why does he remember that corridor? And then we see that that's where Mrs. Casey is going down, and that's where she's trapped, lived. What happens down there? I mean, just how much they do it. And then you start to see into the real world. Well, maybe you could just avoid any unpleasantness. Pregnancy, I don't even have to go through all that. I could have the other me be pregnant and have children and do all of that thing. So it's just that again, it's another great psychological breakdown of our relationships in our society right now, and the dangers that we have to deal with it, for richness, for corporate, the overlords and the underlings. And that's what it is, no matter on what level. And no matter where you are, they're still not going to tell you what it's all about. It's
Yep.
just, yeah.
I mean, how would I that's why I was like, I'm I'm so surprised that I didn't talk about this a long time ago, but I'm glad that in retrospect, I'm glad that I talked about it now. And I get to carry over really quickly into season 2 because I mean, so much of this is just resonates with everyone right now. And so, well, not everyone, but so much of this, it's not just the office world, it's our lives. And like you said, like that constant feeling of life, your work life is your existence. And so many of us feel that way. It's like you never really sleep. I go to sleep, but when I wake up, do I feel like I really slept? Do I feel like I really do a lot of things? Did I just go to that concert, or is that just a memory, a perk, like some bull crap? Like it's
recall.
and I've said like the least interesting thing to me, or at least the thing that I don't need to know really. See, I don't know if I really need to know what's really going on with Kira and Lumen in the end.
Sure.
Because I think there's something to be said with what happens with big conspiracy shows and things with too many questions is then people, no matter what, it's going to be a clusterfuck of, oh, I didn't know it was that, or, oh, like just so many things that I think that's
They're
the
all
least
working for
interesting thing.
Satan. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the background is. It's what the thing that can make our characters bump around. It's the plot. But
Right.
it's not really. It's just it's kind of like it's the environment. And we're put in that environment, and then all the rules that we don't understand, which allows this show to be weird as fuck. And can take us all these and I mean, I know it's on the nose, and I really don't like saying it. I really don't, but it's to me, it feels kind of like something that David Lynch would do. A lot of these things, tons and tons of questions, weird things that we don't know if we'll ever get the answers to, things like that. But I'm just ready to see where we're going to go now because of, like I said, how did Irving know to paint that? Like,
yes,
he had to have seen that hallway. There's still so many questions, and that's why it makes complete sense. Because I'm just going to segue into it. For Mark asked to wake up and make a beeline to Miss Casey. I was very confused for a second because I had so many things flying around in my head that I wasn't going to just allow myself to say that this was Mark S. waking up for the first time in the elevator, because it just seemed off. It seemed real weird. Like maybe, is this where Mark goes when he's not, working? Is he stuck somewhere in Audi Mark's brain, just running through the halls?
Right.
That's where my brain was, because that's how deep into everything we're already starting to get. So, but it does make 100% that he runs full tilt, knows exactly where to go, how to get there, to find out that she's gone. Like, it shows what kind of person he is on the inside. Not too far off from the one on the outside. Especially now that they have this connection with each other. And I just think that that's really cool to see this character, even though he is still split, starting to, on both ends, work towards resolution in his life about something. And one, he doesn't even, well, I mean, I'm assuming he knows. Or at least I'm hoping, because the big mystery, I think, of this right now is what happened in those 5 months.
Yes.
So, and I'm getting a little worried that the first thing that I think of when they start putting up these what happened in such and such amount of time, and I don't like to bring this up again. I'm saying a lot of things apparently I don't like to bring up or compare it to, is one of the first things I got a little worried again was Lost.
Right.
Because of like these big kind of concepts, mysteries where we're going to start to get things doled out to us a little bit at a time. So I hope that the show doesn't go down too far, but I think because of how big the first season was, this first episode needed to like just dump a whole lot of stuff. In fact, this episode made me remember what coming back from a TV show with such great anticipation felt like for like shows like when like say when the season 4 of the X-Files was about to start or something by that time, and everybody's just like, oh my god, white knuckling your chair and having like these big huge premieres where so much happens and you get so many like not just fan things but well crafted fan things and things that and taking things to new levels and new places, and they are already doing that in this episode. And it just, I was watching this going, oh my God, I hate that I'm rewinding it. I hate that I'm like analyzing it in a little bit and making sure I get notes written down right, because I'm just in it now. And I would get lost so far into my thoughts. I go, oh crap, I got to rewind again. Cause I'm like, I'm starting to think so much about things. And that's just in like the first episode. So, I mean, if you
Yeah.
need a review, a quick review, it's amazing. It comes off. I don't even like to talk about things now anymore like that, where it's like, does this hold up to the first season, or what's the top episodes and shit? And I feel like you can do that with some shows that feel more procedural, but this show's a journey, just like
Yeah.
Lost. And we gotta like, with it being so early, I'm not gonna start doing, because I heard already people like it falls short, and I'm like, shut up
It
and
is the
enjoy
first
it.
episode resetting the
Yeah.
world and the new stakes.
Yeah. And basically saying like we're setting up a whole bunch, like they did what they needed to do, and now it's the companies, it's the turn to pivot and do their Empire Strikes Back on us, except in the corporate way of like, we've changed.
Well, see, to me, that is the interesting thing, and I love the fact that we stayed focused on Mark's Innie's experience throughout this entire episode. I thought that that was really important, and I think from a viewpoint, as from a perspective viewpoint, I mean, to sound somewhat repetitive, um, it's important to do because of all of the changes that we make. I mean, for anybody that didn't, the first 8 minutes of this show was released early, where they basically have the whole kind of opening sequence up until like the balloons, I believe, right around there was that, maybe just slightly after. Um,
I
but you're
didn't watch
right.
it.
It's well, no, 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 and it was weird if you did, because you didn't really understand, is this how they're actually opening it, or is this a tease, or is this some kind of whatever? So no, I'm getting more and more with the stopping of seeing even previews. I know we were talking Daredevil the other day. Like I'm already going to see the show. I don't want to spoil anything about it. But I mean, one, you know how much I love long continuous shots, and I love that bit, and the fact that you just see how Byzantine, and just how much of a maze this was, the controlling and the oppressiveness and imagery of this corporate mysterious world. Again, running and turning and backwards and forwards and all around just to get to this one office, but it doesn't even have doors anymore. Just a blank wall, like just painted out of existence. And it keeps all
Yeah.
the way up until we get the reflection behind, and then he turns and walks out, and then it goes back into, and now we're into old Severance, where we're doing the regular cameras and the reveals and such. So the choices that it used to bring us back into this world, I think was perfect. And you're right, he has a purpose. Now, Miss Casey isn't his wife, but she is his wife, and she's supposed to be dead. And he, at his points, the great thing that the show also kind of reminds up, and I think it's an important thing for all the characters, is how much that it shows is even if we are different, we are the same. Even without our memories, we are ourselves. Our values, our approaches, our personalities, and things, those are all set. Mark is a good person. So his innie is a good, caring person. You know, you can see the same thing about Irving. Dylan is probably a collector of some sort up there, where it's just like, man, I just got to have the things. I got to have the stuff. I got to have the right kind of things. I'm really curious to eventually look into his world. But Helly's a fucking firebrand. She's a firebrand up there. She's a firebrand in here. You know, the one thing, and there's one thing my wife put up is like, you know, when you're rich, you are raised to show that the rules don't apply to you and you are above everything else. And there is always an option and you are always in charge. So when Helly is inside there, she's not going to take any shit because she knows she is on top and she is the way, and she acts like somebody who is rich and powerful would be put in that position. I would sooner die than be subjugated. And if I have one purpose in my life, it's to torture the person and make her to wake up gasping her last breath. She is so cold and so nasty. So, yeah, I mean, people are the same as who they are. I think Irving is the same way, a very quiet, wanting individual who is just stuck in the little world that he has, whether it's painting and hanging with his dog and drinking coffee and being up all night, or focusing on his work until he finds that one thing for life, or we find out that Irving seems to have lost that in his life, you know? So seeing now, like you said, there's going to be that collision between the two Marks at a point, because they're starting to get same goals and they're starting to both get energized. You know, and that's the one thing that I do like about seeing Mark down. And at this point, he's like, what are you going to do to me? This is what I want now, and I'm going to stand for it. And I love how this is kind of, in this first episode, a feel of like, how is Mark going to try and establish himself in this new world with what he wants? And that is the kind of, again, that's the story that I care. What's Keir's ultimately doing? You're right. I don't care. I want to see where these characters go in their own personal journeys throughout this crazy world. And as long as they keep the eye on the ball, we're going to be fine. Because, yeah, I think everybody's afraid of Lost. We don't want to do that.
Yeah. Thanks, Rena and Deborah in the chat here. She didn't watch either or the trailer. We are set. Hard to make changes. Yep, it is hard to make changes unless one wants to. So who was in the hallway? We're gonna have to find out who that was. Tall, blue coat. I don't know. See, again, I don't look into this stuff. I stay away from trailers. I stay away from articles. So if there's like a bunch of information or new cast members added, I didn't even remember that Aaliyah Shawkat was in this until I saw her in the show. So if there's a bunch of stuff that I'm missing somehow, it's because I've chosen to let the show tell me and not a bunch of other people tell me. Spoilers out there that just are like, oh, by the way, here's a, no thanks.
No, I agree. I also try to come into these with just the knowledge of the show and very little. I even stopped watching a lot of look at the behind the scenes right after the episode. Like, I don't want to do it. I want to see, does your storytelling actually work for me without me having to search out extra knowledge? And also, I don't want to spoil the journey that they're setting up.
Exactly. So we do have a new team for at least part of this. Will they be back? I don't know. I thought it was a really interesting way to show time, but also like to because again, this was messing with me.
Okay.
because I'm looking for all the things now. And I'll talk about what I think in the end of, like, before we end this, what I think is maybe whatever going on right now. But
Mhm.
I really like that we got Bob Balaban and Aaliyah Shawkat in this little group of people that are his new mates for at least a little while. The Italian that doesn't
Mhm.
like, it's just a perfect mishmash of people that would just, is this meant to set him off? But no, like I'm wondering how much of this is straightforward and how much of this isn't. Like, were they literally, because okay, he tells Mark, right, Mr. Milchick, who's now in charge because Harmony Cobel is gone. Mark in the chat, how's it going? I wasn't a fan of the team scenes. Seems like a waste. I think they should have cut straight to it. That's definitely a way to go. But I also just really liked that all of a sudden, who's going to take Mr. Milchick's place? But an 8-year-old kid. Because why not? Like, to
Do
show again,
we have
to
children
let
down
us
here?
know that, like, if Lumen really cares, right? It's now starting to talk about child labor. Let's throw that in the mix. But it also makes me wonder, okay, because we're going to talk about that hallway. I want to talk about that hallway
Okay.
because what the little kid made me think was, all right, my first initial theory is that what do they call that floor that she's at, where they sent Miss
Oh,
Casey to?
yeah, I can't
Let's see.
recall that.
My notes are right here. Dang it, but
The
I probably don't
spooky
have them.
elevator place is all that I think about.
I literally have tons and tons of notes like a madman. And I don't have the one that says where they sent her to the testing floor. The
Testing
testing
floor.
floor. Okay. So, all right. There was an accident. And what if they think she died, right? But they've kept her alive. They saved her. But I've gone down many rabbit holes on this way of thinking.
Sure.
Okay. Was that, does he go down there to see his wife? But he doesn't act like that outside. So that doesn't count. He literally thinks, that's why I said I went down many rabbit holes and some of them were like, nope, because I've been trying to figure that out. Did something happen to Irving that's how he remembers that hallway where we don't know anything about Irving.
Mm-hmm.
We know his dad was a veteran. Is he a veteran? I wasn't sure if some of those medals were his. But I just have that theory that might be a place where, like, what if something happened to that kid and they don't know what to do with her? So she's now like part of the team. I don't know. It's probably worse than that. It's probably way worse than that.
Well, I do like Mark's little statement that Child Supervisor was totally the same vein of how weird the show is.
Yeah.
It's like that's just where Lumen is reaching out into child labor at this point from a Severance standpoint. Isn't entirely possible. I
I
think there
know.
was also an implied moment, or at least I felt it like, is this Mark and Miss Casey's kid? But
Oh,
she's
I
only been
know.
dead for 2 years, and this kid's a lot older, and that would almost be kind of too much. So I kind of set it aside. But
Yes.
I don't know, in the sense that I wouldn't trust anything that's happening downstairs. And I say that because we can maintain Mark's perspective. Has it been 5 months? Is it a week later? Is it 8 years later? We don't know. We only know the information that Lumen themselves is telling. Are they famous? Does everybody else know? I wouldn't necessarily trust any of that.
Yeah.
because to me that maintaining all of this again shows that perspective is you don't know how much time passes between, was it 5 months that he went and then it was the next day and they were all back, or was that like a week later and they're like, okay, so let's see if we can get this guy back into work and let's see how much the damage is. Let's just put in a wrong team. We'll tell him it's 5 months later and we'll do a thing. Oh, that doesn't really work. He's fucking with it. Okay, well, we'll wait another week and so on. What's going on with actual Mark and Dylan and Irving, their outies? You know, I am personally very suspect of all the information they're putting out, because Lumen has shown itself to be manipulative. And the fact that they're even working this hard to show that they're better, and the new break room and the video things, I mean, it's just it again, the whole show is weird, but it's like I don't feel trustworthy, and in fact, the trust extends to a few other things that we will get to. But that would be my one thing that I would just suggest in with all of this is how much time has actually passed and what has actually happened in the outside world. I don't necessarily believe it.
Well, we got two interesting comments. One from Mark says the theory, he heard a theory that Miss Casey died and they cloned her and did the same thing for the kid supervisor. Again, there's no like until they say otherwise, you know what I mean? Like anything is practically possible. It's more possible than what we were saying. And Rena says, I wish they played with facial hair to show time. They look the same all the time. And that's a problem with every show. Every show has a problem with hair growth all the time, or keeping stubble, that perfect 5 o'clock shadow for Sawyer, you know.
Oh yeah, no, there's
But yeah, I know. Like if he were to come in like rough, like an unshaven, I mean, maybe there's a guideline that says if you're not gonna come in clean shaven, don't bother. We need you guys to always be like, we don't know the manual. Is there a manual for Mark S on the outside to follow that says like your Audi always has to be clean shaven, or any?
well, and that might be when you go in and do the check-in and switch your keys, because you're switching your watch and your keys. Your innie has his own like little wardrobe set that you maintain consistent. There may be erasers and stuff, and you're right. You have to maintain this look, and there's a picture of you, and this is what you have to do, and you know that might be part of it, because it does keep again that timeless quality to the innies. You never know how much time has passed or what's. I mean, yeah, technically they should all have their 5 o'clock shadows at the end there or not, but it's I mean, it's just easier storytelling. Don't give the script supervisor continuity having to maintain constant changing hair growths and colors. That's just too much work. Nobody cares.
So Mr. Milkchick's now in charge,
Right.
or Mr. Milkshake. I like that. That was a nice touch. And he's blowing now. Again, we don't know how much of this is he blowing smoke. I imagine some of it's true at the very least. I think the best lies are hidden within truth. And him talking about them like all, we know that he's lied about the silliest stuff, right? Like whenever they get a minor injury, it's like, oh, you did this and that. And he tells Mark, right? They all refused, but you immediately asked to come back. Now, that could be true. If he figured out that Miss Casey's down there, and Miss Casey's Gemma, I mean, he could have been like, let me in, like, I want to go back to work. Maybe didn't tell them why, but they might. You're muted.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I was just going to say, my other me said my wife was alive. That was the one thing that he was able to convey. You know, that's, yeah. I mean, that would make you go, well, if he knows there's a wife, then he can find. Yeah, I mean that does make sense why he would go back.
Yeah. So, but I I don't know. I don't know if I trust that. Milchick likes to say things like that always make it sound like when he lied to Helly, he lied to the real Helly, like right away. Said, "Oh no, no, don't worry." You know, like she doesn't want to leave. Like even though that should be information, if like this is a big part of her test, hearing herself, she should know like what her innie's doing. But he's lying to her. I mean, there's a lot of that in the business world at certain levels of like, don't tell the boss this, that, and the other if you don't have to, because it'll get you in trouble and kind of cause more things, and especially because he also strikes me as a bit of a true believer. Maybe not in the same crazy level as Harmony Cobel, but he definitely takes his job very seriously. So, and communication at a lot of our businesses, it's either nil, dick, or absolutely untrustworthy. I know so many times where I can tell I'm being played by the higher ups just to shut me up. So it's just all this stuff that he's saying that nobody agreed to return. I don't know I mean, I guess I would kind of believe. Well, again, until we know what happened, right? Clearly, Irving banging on Bert's door, and he wakes up. He had to have had some kind of interaction with Bert, unless somebody stopped him and pulled him away. Dylan, well, he was stuck down there. He's the one who, after he left, like they said, that he found out about it after the fact. So the whole thing about the whistleblower thing, I think, is true. But again, we'll have to wait till the end when I talk about it, because I keep wanting to blab about my like theory. Because I wrote down in huge words as I finally I was only like 15 minutes into the episode and I wrote, "Oh my God, like, is this the plan?" But let's see, what's important, what's not. Okay, Miss Huang though is that little actress played by Sarah Bach.
She's
Wow.
awesome.
1,000-Yard Stare, when they're having their little ball, tossing the ball around, and just that look of like him trying so hard, and that would freak me out. That kid was scary. Like, it's the tension and the weirdness and everything. It's just, again, I haven't felt like I've watched a show like this since even before Lost. I think, again, the weirdness just makes me think of X-Files, Twin Peaks, a little bit of Lost because of all the mystery boxes, but
it's a delicate line to hold that balance between, is it creepy, is it too funny, is it too over the top? And the scene where she's like, I made 4 new friends today. I'm a supervisor, not a friend.
yeah. And that look,
Just a long pause of like all, and then love, man. You're just seeing everything in Mark's head, like 3 friends.
I love
that's
that he's not awake, but he's awake. Like, he's done. Like, the veneer is gone. He's not a cure believer. He's just stuck down there, and
he's playing his own game.
yes, which is where I really wanted him to get to, because that cold look on his face of just like, and I mean, when he tells Milchick, when he breaks in to the office, sneaks away, says, you know what, you haven't even seen what I did to the kitchenette. Like, his little rebellions, the notes, all these things that he was doing made me keep thinking about other things that could be happening. Like, why is he doing the notes? He knows he would get caught with that, and trying to blame it on the other guy. And I'm like, is he really only trying to get his team back together, or is this still part of something bigger? Because This show does that to you.
Yeah.
It may, but in the best possible way. Again, it's like, this is like, I don't know. It's speculation, the show, but like in the most fun way, because there's so many like fun ways that this can go. And again, the overall where this goes, it's not about getting more information about the plot. It's just how much more fun can we make our characters like jump through all these hoops. Different wings, different Egans. Some people have animatronics, some people don't. So how big is this place, right? Because then we get to like the new and improved break room after everybody gets brought back together, right? All of a sudden he says, okay, goodbye, Mark S. And then everybody's back. Again, I don't trust any of this.
Yes.
Because it's again, that goodbye is too hard a goodbye for like him to just get what he wanted. So again, go ahead.
Well,
you like took it.
Well, I mean, what does Lumen want out of all of this? Why try and convert them? Why do it better? Why not just shuffle them off into whatever? Why not just fire them? You're fired here. We don't have to bring you back. I mean, why change all of these things in order to improve the Severance? What did happen outside, and what does Lumen want? Are they reacting to something, or are they trying to manipulate this group, Mark, to start for some other informative means? I mean, again, they're really trying to placate them in a way. So it's just, I don't know. I think that this is something that the show, again, is doing very well. I am suspecting everything and all of the information that's going on, which is why I think the most interesting part is how do the characters react into it. They can change the story all they want as long as they keep a consistent reaction with all of the characters. But yeah, I want to find out, like, what do people want? And I got one particular little theory or an idea. Oh, I got something, but I don't know when we want to get into spoilers or any of that stuff. Our theory kinds, you know how good our theories always are.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so much fun to do, though. This is the one where I'm not going to care about all the speculation. I usually try to rein all that in, but not for this show. I want to at least be able to go, we said it, and then we broke it down so that we know we're wrong.
Yeah. Oh, and just as a mug for Mark talking about just binge both seasons of Silo. I haven't seen the finale yet. I used my one time to make sure that I caught this Severance episode. Rob and I will probably do a discussion on Silo season 2 coming up, because that show rocks.
Yeah, he got strong Lost vibes from that show too. Found the reforms are a commentary on how corporations, when caught in a scandal, will put a lot of PR and do half-assed reforms without actually changing anything, which was something I was going to bring up. I had it written down. Because we were getting to all that weird shit. Like, that's why I was like, oh crap, I forgot they all got back together first. And it's nice to see everybody back and running around and realizing he's banging on the door like it's Bert. He's running through the thing saying, what happened? Like, at least their characters didn't have to wait long. Their characters didn't. Mark's already been there. Again, right. The delay is interesting. But they're taken to the new and improved break room, which is no longer like something out of like the Marathon Man or something. Is it safe? Like, we're gonna torture you, today. Or no, like more like probably like Manchurian Candidate or something like that. But this is where we get to see about those reforms and how Lumen is listening. And the first thing you say, The first thing they say is the creepiest. It just confirms that everything you're about to hear is bullshit. Because they just straight up tell you, and that's one of the beautiful things, is they'll lie right to your face and make you think that it's not like we're listening. You know what tone we're trying to get you to believe? Lumen is listening. I hear you, buddy. Do you know how? Oh my God, I had a conversation with HR once, and I never, if I ever see that lady again, if I ever see her again.
Oh yeah, but look,
Words
they've
will
got
be
new
said.
snacks. They got new snacks like salsa.
But we get this Keanu Reeves, I believe, is the voice actor for the Lumen building.
Oh, I didn't even look. Oh, that would be
I
fun.
think
That
that
would
was
be
Keanu
funny.
Reeves. That's the voice of the Lumen building.
Now I'm gonna have to look that up. But next week we'll talk about Keanu.
But we get some interesting. There's they operate in 206 countries. So how many people are fucking severed?
Do they? Do they have it again? I just
It
trust
says
all this
200.
information.
They operate in 206 countries.
What do they even do? Nobody knows.
Can I join in a silo discussion? Yeah, absolutely. I think Darren's going to be setting that one up. Or I can do it here. I don't care. We'll figure out the details to that one.
Yeah.
There are only 192 countries, Rena says. Yeah. Well, wait. Yeah. So, like, is this all bullshit? Thank you, Rena. Because again, you can't trust it. As I'm writing it down, I'm like, yeah, like I went to that one place, which just means this is an epidemic. Like this might already be too far gone. This is Soylent Green.
I mean, now to have a business that has a legend, a lore as deep as Kier does, and art and things, I mean, it does make sense that they might be a giant company. But again, that's just the thing. We've only seen the one giant building, which looks very much like the one there. So it's like, are they doing this anywhere else? Is it just here where they're doing the changes because they don't have to worry about other countries? You know, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking again of like the outside world, this was something that I dealt with like really early on. Somebody commented like that they like, I like this show, but there's not enough time spent in the outside world. And I said, that's the point, is that what's happening in there to those characters, like it's at least for the first season anyway, it was all about setting up character, and you have to care about these people in order for you to want things to happen for them. Otherwise, why do it? And I still say I don't need all that much outside world stuff. I know it's coming, but like if you go too far one way or the other, this show has a balance, and so far I'm trusting the balance that writers like Dan Erickson, the creator, and Ben Stiller and everything are going to take us out down that road just fine.
Yeah, they've earned my trust. Yeah.
But I mean, I know Dylan was upset when he saw the kiss. What the shit? But should he be? I mean, I would be so much more excited about hearing that I can now get fruit leather, cut beans, salsa, and well, Christmas mints, and then salsa was the topper of just salsa. Doesn't say you get chips with it.
Yeah, it's
cut beans.
Again, wasn't it Mark said? It's like, oh yeah, we're making reforms. We're changing our corporate lifestyle here.
Hall passes, pineapple bobbing, the mirror room. And it goes to what we were all starting to say, what Mark brought up in there about the reforms of Lumen is listening, and now we're doing all these little things. And there was more, like when he tells Dylan about his wife and the blueprints to the visitation center, and how Dylan is already the one that called out the massive head games that are going on already. Dylan and Mr. Milkshake, and I'm going to call him that every once in a while. They what he said to him, like, it's still head games. He's now isolating him with this information that Dylan doesn't even know if it's true, but he's dangling this in front of him because of their history. Like you could say, is it to bring him back in? Sure. Or is it to set him up for something worse, or both? Like, and Mr. Milchick, he's supposed to not be, the more rules guy, but his obsession with, taking the job from Harmony now and not seeing his own name up there, he's looking off about things. And I know I'm rambling now because I'm just like,
but it's true, because power ultimately corrupts. You get some, you want more. Ultimately, it's all personal. You get it, you can exercise all of your petty little things. And for him, his just upset at having to wrestle with Dylan is now he can use that to manipulate. And you're right. I think it is a divide and conquer. That's why I'm really curious. I'm like, what does Lumen want out of that? Because they're manipulating everybody in one form or another, just for what ends is each person doing it.
And why would they ever put them back together?
Right, exactly.
If they didn't have to. Right? I mean, him telling Mr. Milkchick, that, I'm just going to be in your face right now and tell you, Mr. Milkshake, do you understand? Like, he's not afraid to get in his face anymore. And I like that. But I don't know. It just goes into more of like that kind of crazy way that corporations talk to you. Now I want to talk about Helly.
Yes.
Because now that she knows who she is, she's like, we talked about how when she's down there, you said like she's the version of like a rich person if they were put in that position, how she'd fight to get out. Now, because she knows who she is, she's lying about it so that she doesn't have to tell them like, I'm the reason we're all down here. Or one of the reasons why we're all down here, and that like shame now, and that like kind of feeling she's isolating herself, but really it's just, again, her outie is, the real person to be blaming. And again, how do we know? Again, why did she come back down there after all of that? Like, even outie Helly, I mean. And she's willing to help Mark find Gemma, which I thought was really nice. But the big thing is like that feeling that she gets of like, now it's like imposter syndrome, but like also staying down there. Like, why would she, like, knowing what she knows? It's not, I don't feel like it's defeat, but it's more like down here, I can still mess with her.
Well, I was about to say, but Mark had to jump right in and steal my thunder, you damn it. No, I don't think it's Helly. I think it's Helena. I think it's her outie pretending to be her. I think she is the plant to get information. That's why they don't need cameras, because she is there in the group. She's the informant.
Yeah,
because she did not react to Mark initially the same way that she should have. Just going back, there was that little bit. It's like you would get, why would she lie? Yeah, she's embarrassed because she's the fucking person that put them there, and she's behind all of this, and she is protecting. Or
that's really good.
I don't want you to know who I am because now I am the perfect plant to go through all of this. Where is Helly? Man, they could have tortured the hell out of her. How did they know about the kiss and the things and all this stuff. I know there's cameras in places, but I didn't, how much do they see? How much do they get? I mean, it's the entrance from the elevator was right there. There's probably a camera in that room.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, still, there's a lot of these things that I am with just the information they have. I love the fact that they used the micro data revolt like we had in Pictures last season to now do the new thing that now is the great Severance stuff. Sorry, I had to reflect that. I just, again, I love how they manipulate their own history constantly in order to be on top of whatever it is.
We were shaping up to be what we wanted to be, so we had to go ahead and make some changes. I had to take a good old look at myself.
Yeah.
Talking water towers, and I mean, again, showing this to people who have never seen the sky. Even they're like laughing and getting sucked in again. Like, they're not, but I think it's the shiny kind of thing. If it was any other group, I'd say that they'd fall for it, but
yeah, and again, you had that kind of susceptibility with that one first group. As we made a list, these are the things that we would want to see first. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, we're in the middle of a time limited fight for your life. You've got one chance to do thing. I didn't think I'd run down and see what the new flavors at Baskin Robbins were. I didn't think I'd go out and check out the sky. I was trying to, fight for my existence. Sorry.
I did like that whole where he tells them, like, I mean, their whole catch up basically, but like him telling them everything and then like about Miss Casey, and then just like it's I don't know.
Well, it's so much. It's like, oh my God, you are like central to this whole world. And then it goes over to Helly, who is like, oh no, this is even more central to this world. And it's a crappy apartment.
I really do. You know what? I really do think that wherever you heard that theory, I think it's starting to sound more and more real.
From my mind, man.
Okay, because there's a part where she slips. And I wrote that down because Irving catches it. And now I might understand why it's important to prove that she is Helly R. from outside. She talked about having a gardener. If you live in some boring apartment, you don't have a gardener.
Right. Gardening.
And Irving said, Irving's like, what? Like a night gardener? Like a special gardener? So she's talking about something that she has. And she let that slip out because, again, the rich disconnect of like, we don't all have gardeners.
Yeah.
Now I know that like that you could say landscaping of properties and stuff, but like she said gardener, like I don't think that Helly would.
Yeah, well, to me, I was like, oh, she's caught it. That's the lie tell. Because, who's gardening at night? But I like what you're saying is like, but no, she's trying to pull something that she would find in her life that just isn't going to fit with who she's saying that she is. So I like that.
Man, that really blows up a whole lot of stuff. But let's see, him and Dylan having their moment in the hallway.
Oh, Irving and Dylan?
Like, yeah.
Oh, fuck, man.
And again, Zach Cherry, I talked about it in my season 1 reviews that I didn't really think, like most of the parts that he gets, I didn't really think much of them because they're all like the annoying influencer character or that kind of, I don't know. It just seemed like always a one-note side character. But in this, my goodness, it shows like just because somebody is typecast or just in commercials or whatever can like you give them the right material. And Zach Cherry's been a standout. I mean, for me, he's the biggest surprise of the show as far as acting goes. I was really happy to just see Britt Lauer get a really big chance at a show for her.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's that's neither here nor there about what I was actually going to talk about, but like the plea that he had, like Irving wanting the pain to be over, but Dylan, again, the guy who only cared about perks, and all that to just get through, and is now telling everybody, like, I'm only good because of you. Like, I'm good because of you. Please don't go. Bert would tell you, don't leave. Find out what the fuck this shit is. And I love that character growth because that's just, again, I'm a character story guy. Like, so this again is why I don't care as much about the Lumen and the Kier and all that stuff that draws me in because of my background in the business, well, in the working world and cults and all that stuff. This show just sucked me right in. But having him be like that, like, a lot of people talk about work. I recently ran into somebody who retired at a place that I went to a lot. And, she was saying like, I really miss it sometimes. I'm like, but what you're saying is that you really just miss the people.
Yeah.
And that's for so many people, like that's the way it is. It's like, I've got people that still come to where I work all the time just to see us. And I'm like, man, it's kind of like that connection that we all get from our jobs. It's another reason why I hope this show becomes more and more popular as the next 4 years go by, of like, hope maybe this show will help unite some workers together in the next 4 years.
Yeah, season 3 is going to be wild, folks.
Oh. But when they all like get back in that room together, I didn't say too much about the blueprints. I don't know how important anybody feels that is. But the gang's back together, and here we are at the end of the episode. And I don't think I think it just, boom, it's just kind of the gang's back together, but ... So I think that as we've gone, I can't believe we've just past an hour on this. Before we wrap it up, I mean, how much do you have to say? Because I was gonna get to our one thing. But you know what I'll say now is that I keep wondering, in those 5 months, right? Is the plan, are they this group picture that I have here? I haven't seen it happen in the show, but clearly they are all outside together. Is this within the 5 months? And is there a like, is this our outies that we're seeing here? Again, I'm just being Mr. Speculation. But is there a bigger plan that they've already got set in motion that we don't see, to why Mark went on there first and why now they're going down now? Did they want to set something up so that, like, because like if it is Heliar, it would make sense that she's going to be the big reveal that blows up said plan. But I don't know. I feel like there is way more to what our heroes are up to than we're seeing here. And I hope that if that Heli twist is the twist, I hope that there's even more. And I have a feeling there's going to be so many more this season. Mark says, with the family visiting room, I wondered if Mark ever found out about it, if he could be upset he's being excluded because he'd want to talk to his sister. Well, that's why I still think it's a massive head game, and that they could already have this thing built for just regular ass people that have family that come and visit them in the unsevered floors. So it'd be real easy to just go up there and go, look, this is the place where all the families go. But
yeah, I would trust this about as much as I would trust Trump's healthcare plan. It's all laid out. Here's the plans, concept of a room plan.
Is it weird that this show's gonna be like hard to compete with reality pretty soon?
Uh,
it's gonna be weird. Which is gonna be weirder, Severance or Our Own Lives?
uh,
You know, and I know that with the way things already are for people like
yeah,
you, or like surviving what you survived, or Rena, who's had her craziness over in the East Coast. You know,
dude,
I,
I don't know what
and
our
then
next
everything that's about to
discussion is going to
happen.
be like.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Because that's another great reason why I'm happy about talking about this show, because there's gonna be a lot of things to talk about in the next 8 or 9
Yeah.
weeks.
No,
So
I'm curious, obviously I'm curious what happened on the outside. I think Helly actually could play it off. We're horrible, we're here with all of this. That's what people are saying about us on the inside, but it's not true. I think there's a potential where that might be able to get played off, depending on things. And also, yeah, she would be so mad that her Innie would do that, she would seek her own type of revenge and would torture the shit out of that lady for the longest amount of time. That's my thought. Um,
Mark
Mark is
S.
interesting because would he want to go public knowing that his wife is still alive and thus go, wait a minute, I want to go in first before you spill all of this? So I'm
Yeah,
curious, that's I'm up in the air. It's Irving who I'm really curious about because he already knew where Bert lived. He's been doing research on Lumen and connections and things like that. It's like, what is his actual story? So when he pops up and he comes to shouting Bert, and Bert opens the door, um, hey, sweetheart, Mama Bear's in the house. Um, I'm curious where that conversation led to or went to. Is like, yeah, I was just fired. They gave me a forced retirement and so on. Why was I shouting your name? That's the one that I'm actually really curious the most about, is what happened with Irving, since they did that kind of reveal that he's been doing this hidden study of them, plus with the paintings and everything. So, and also how much time has passed? How much of a lie is Lumen weaving for our group?
and
That's what
where's
I'm
Miss
really curious
Cobel?
about. Yeah. And
When
yeah,
is Patricia Arquette's amazing acting about to return to us?
oh God.
Did you see the behind the scenes thing where they're like, if you ask Miss Cobel what she would say season 2 is about, she wouldn't tell you a thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Patricia
No, I know.
Arquette. Mm,
No, the choices they made for all the casting and everything is just top of the line. Everyone is such a great survivor. I mean,
oh
you're
yeah.
right. With Cherry is one of those guys that's been in the background, the sub player for so many things, and now he's like just making it work.
Oh, well,
Um,
I mean, you got the actress who plays Mark's sister. She's great. You got Michael
yeah,
Chernus, who's amazing as Rickon. Uh,
she's just
uh, I put his book up all the time in the old videos where I'm just like, this is amazing. Like I yeah, everybody in this show is perfectly cast.
I
I mean,
love how his
you and I get so
horrible
many
book
different
is
ones.
like this brilliant insight for these people that have seen nothing else. I mean, again, a whole other commentary on information. We could do a whole nother episode on that one there.
Helly's Audi is evil. Yeah, autocorrect does suck.
Yeah.
Weird that Irving didn't mention his Audi had all the names of people that work there. Yeah, I don't think they've all had enough chances yet to even talk about everything. They've got so much going on. But Mark's, is he seeing his, like, Miss Casey, like, is his brain kind of, as he's doing the numbers, is he seeing her? Like, did you see the last bit there?
Uh, I mean, that's not what I got, but I
What'd
mean,
you get?
they were doing a thing and he was into it, but it was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. the numbers make you uncomfortable, and that one kind of did, because there was sort of a joy and plan, like we're in it, we're doing this thing, and I've got a plan, and that's sort of where I was. But no, I didn't think of Miss Casey at the time,
No.
I guess. Short answer. Took me a long time to get to that answer. That very short answer.
Okay. I think then now it's time for us to talk about our favorite moment. Stupid. That was me doing his version or my version of his scene of the week that he used to do, which I hope to be seeing when we come back to his channel, and we'll probably talk about that for the end of this video. So Darrin, what's your favorite moment of this episode?
Honestly, it's Dylan and Irving in the hallway. That was the one that I mean, there were so many other great bits, and like I already talked to how much I loved that whole opening, because I loved just everything that it said in the camera shot and the Byzantine, the labyrinth, repetitive things and all that. I mean, it was a great way to open up. But this was just such a real moment that you were not expecting from Dylan in any shape. And you get to see Irving kind of break and crack there, and like in a whisper, like, I'm going to tell you this one secret before I run out of here, of just what exactly happened to me and why this is so hurt. I mean, you're saying, why didn't T. Irving talk about more things? He couldn't talk about the one thing that was the most important thing to him. He locked himself in the road. He was willing to effectively die to stop feeling this kind of pain. And how that was so much reflected by Dylan. And like you said, don't do it. Bert would want you to fight. I want you to be here. I can't do it. I was just like, and I have to say, for a moment, I'm like, do you love Irving kind of like in that relationship kind of way? But he was saying is like, no, I set you up between these guys with you and Bert. I encourage this to kind of happen. And you could see it's like, no, this is just the love a person feels for another human being and their struggles and their identity and their importance to it. And it was just so much stronger than I expected it to be. I was getting in tears just thinking about it right now. But I also really want to see Irving and Bert together. So I mean, maybe this.
Oh well, then I'm gonna have to add my little. I've got another thing for them that I always put in the perpetuity wing, because we call them Bert and Irving, like Bert and Ernie.
Love it.
But I don't want to piggyback, but I'm piggybacking because that's my favorite thing too. Again, the character work. And when John Turturro, because you got the great John Turturro whispering in your ear, and when he turns back and he looks and he's like, I'm your favorite Perk. And I'm just like, that's when it had me. I was like, yep, I'm your favorite Perk. Just the way that they're so pure and innocent, and when they actually are having these kind of moments that are powerful, like saying, I want the pain to be over, and just the way that they're holding on to each other to just, this is why I talk about, this is one of the reasons why I talk about things, why I have to talk about shows like this.
Yeah.
We are going to never stop talking about Marvel. I've been look at my channel's all comic book videos and video games and stuff. And then I talk about Severance because there's not a lot of Severances to talk about. These are special diamond in the rough shows. And I don't like, except, they're popular, but like, they're so original and interesting that I couldn't not talk about it. And,
we all love the action, but I did the same thing when you want to do the fun stuff and the things of the big shows that you want to do it, our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and things like that.
Oh,
but
speaking of
season 1 of American Gods made me have to review that show, because there was just so much depth and character discussions and things being said. Whenever you find any, I only talk about season 1, forget all the other seasons of American Gods. It's true. but it is with shows like this that actually really say something, really do something, or in the sense of like Legion, that's actually able to combine the two together in a totally unexpected ways. It's fun to say ooh ah, the laser shooting out of the hands was great. But if we can talk for 20 minutes about a particular scene, the emotional stuff of the plans, because the intricacies kind of like layering of subjective and cultural viewpoints onto stuff, yeah, I'd rather do that. I think they'd rather hear us talk about that.
Okay, one thing though that I almost forgot, and there's so many things that pop in and out, and then you said Agents of Shield. Thank God you said Agents of Shield, because I was like, damn it, you know who has to be on this show, right? We got to have Clark Gregg on this show.
Oh God, he would. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Somebody tell Ben Stiller to get Clark Gregg in the house because we need him. We need Coulson. That would be the greatest crossover ever.
He's playing Kier, actually. Yeah.
He comes in and Lola up to the front of the place. I've been gone for a while, guys. I've been other universes.
Dude. Don't torture my heart for like that.
It's always going to come back to shows like Agents of Shield for guys like us. So, I think that's about it. I feel good.
Yeah. No. This was great. We'll be back next week. Same bat time. Same
black oil oozing down from the ceiling. And all that. We'll be trying new things all the time and having more fun as we go along. Darrin, you've got some announcements coming soon on your channel, which hasn't been used in a minute. So
yeah, got a couple of things going on. One, I will be over on Enchantment Eternity, Mark's channel, Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific. We'll be talking about his number 3. I think we're at number 3 of his top Star Trek episodes. This is a fun one. This has some great stuff in it, so I'm really excited to talk about this. I will save that until the episode, so you can be surprised. And then I have been talking with Rob. I'm making some plans of let's just say D's Reviews Born Again coming up in a month or two here. So and in fact, we've got a couple of shows that I'm definitely going to want to do this. Daredevil, I've been looking so forward to. I am just, it's going to happen. I got to talk about it. So yeah, D's Reviews returning with Daredevil Born Again starting in March. And then we will definitely be talking about Andor Season 2 starting towards the end of April, because I think any discussion of fascistic governments at this stage is really important in art and other things. So yeah,
and we're also going to be doing a. Go ahead. Yeah, well, yeah, we're also doing Silo.
Yeah,
so that's happening,
and we are doing Silo. Yes. So
we'll have to figure out when we're going to do that.
Well, Daredevil will definitely be the big one. Silo will definitely do a discussion, and just keep an eye on the channels on here. We'll bring Rob and Mark in, and we'll have a big Silo discussion for Season 2. Look for that next week at some point, probably. And then I don't know. There's some great Marvel movies coming up. Maybe we'll do some reviews.
Well, and then I'm finally getting off my butt, and I've got to write some stuff down. So D and I are putting together a big video that'll be when I don't like putting dates on it, but I'm finally off my ass out because I've finally found my motivation again. So there's going to be a video that we'll be putting together, working on it together, and I'll be doing some things on my own, and he'll be participating in a good chunk of it. And then, of course, I've been covering a lot of comic books, a lot of Wolverine comic books. We're currently talking about Predator versus Wolverine. We're talking about Wolverine Revenge. We're talking about Wolverine Deep Cut. We're talking about Deadpool Wolverine. And what else are we talking about? I think, there's a whole bunch of shit. And then we are currently nearing the end of our Baldur's Gate 3 fourth campaign for the platinum. My friend Bill, he's already got the platinum. We've been playing together for like a year and a half, more than a year and a half of Baldur's Gate 3. I'm finally about to get the platinum for that game, the platinum trophy. Big whoop if you're not a gamer. Only 0.6% of all the people in the world have gotten that platinum trophy. So I have to be one of those nerds. So otherwise, that's what goes on my channel and any other random stuff that pops up. And whenever I have any free time, like right now, I can't believe I have been getting so much free time to talk about this stuff. So anyway, for all of you out there watching, again, Mama Bear, I didn't want to forget your comment about the Dylan scene, but also how Dylan shoves all his prizes into his drawer. Her number one. Doesn't give a crap anymore about being first. That's also a great part of like the whole character work stuff, all that, like almost like an extension of that hallway scene, or just an extension of more of like how Zach Cherry's Dylan has become a really interesting character rather than just being a side character and just being talking goofy and stuff. It's like, what if that guy actually had character instead of just being a character?
Hey, his big gift at the end of last season was that glass etching of all of them together. That's what motivated him to push him through. So, yeah.
Rena says, I bet Musk has it. So, yeah, that brings us to an end. So, yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Come here every Friday night at 8:30 to get severed with us. And, yeah, we'll see you next Friday, everybody. Thanks for watching. And, yeah, this was great. And here comes the outro. Bye. Stay in the studio until the outro finishes playing, or the broadcast may not end properly. Uh-oh.
Fuck you, Mr. Milchick!
Ba-ba-ba-bum. Ba-bum-bum-bum-bum. Bum-bum-bum-bum. Bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. Bum-bum-bum-bum. Ba-bum-bum-bum-bum.